Alrighty, we will try this again. It appeared that Facebook had a little issue with the live video. Had a technical issue that popped up on our. So sorry if this is kind of broken up this morning. Don't understand that reason. So um, we're talking about hi y'all. Sorry that if you got popped off and now we're popped back on. It was interesting to me how it just disappeared. So a few months ago, I actually wrote a letter to PTSD. And it was, I wanted you to know how much I hate you. PTSD has stolen so much from so many people. It has made lives a living hell. It has broken up families. It has broken up marriage. It has ended so many lives. Um, we just don't, I hate it. And I think we all hate it at times. I mean, it's not an easy thing that we have to live with. You know, it creates a hole and a void. It creates it in our relationships with our spouses. It creates it in them. It is just one of the ugliest things that we've ever all had to deal with is what's happened with PTSD. And so I think that we get so focused sometimes on choices that our veterans make, that sometimes we're like, well, they can help it, and they can help some other things, but they don't choose this life. They don't choose this PTSD life. They don't choose their fears. They don't choose any of that. That is PTSD coming into their lives. And I'm not making excuses. I hear this so often, Stacey, you're making excuses for them. You're making excuses for them. No, I'm not. I'm being realistic, and it's hard to be realistic. And it wasn't until I had to accept my own demons that I realized that I have PTSD that is not trauma related, combat related. And there's just days that I tailspin and nothing anybody says to me is going to make me happy and nothing anybody does is going to make it right. And no matter how hard I try, I can't suppress that feeling. I just can't. And so I hate what it does. And by having a little glimpse of what it does in my life, I think I'm more compassionate to understand what it does in their life. Of course, I don't have the trauma from the combat related involved. And so it's not the same for me. I don't have those fears. Right? I don't have those fears that they tend to have about things they've seen or done or heard. But I will tell you, I went back to the story that very early in my EMS career, there was an accident down the road from where we lived. And a guy was on a motorcycle, and some girl was pulling out of her driveway and hit him. And of course, he died. And I remember the rain hitting his wedding ring. It was one of the most profound things I ever remember. Well, Carl and I moved back to the country where I'm from, out here in the Georgia side where I've lived forever. I was raised in Virginia, but been here. And we live literally on that same road. When I went to Shauna's the other day, it was raining and I had to drive by that same spot. And I gripped the steering wheel so tight, and this fear just ran over me. And that was just riding down the road. You know, so when I think about what it does to them, I mean that was just riding down the road. That was just a place I had been riding down the road. And it set me into this thought process. And the tears just started rolling. And in the next 2 days, I was not even consolable. I probably wasn't even livable with. You probably couldn't even live with me. Carl and I keep talking about what we want for Christmas, and he's like, we just need a small camper, a small RV. And I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, that'd be great. We could go see things and do things. He's like, no. So when you get in your mood, I can go have a place to hang out. I'm like, oh, wow, thanks. But you hate what it does to you, how it robs those minutes from you, how it robs those minutes from your life. And so for 2 days, day and a half ish, I everything Carl said to me, I bit his head off. Everything he said to me, I got in this, I'm not good enough. And I started to cry. And I was angry and I was slamming around and storming around. And the bad part was is it was almost like an out of body experience. I could see me doing this stuff that I don't want to do, but I couldn't stop it. I hate PTSD. I hate what it's done to me. I can't imagine what it does to them. We're sitting on the couch and we're watching a TV show and everything is great and I'm really getting into it. And all of a sudden there's one little blurb in this TV show that he picks, by the way, that puts him in a place. And now we're in a place. It steals those moments from all of us. It steals all of that from all of us. And And as much as I want to make it go away, as much as I want to fix that moment in him, I can't. Just like he couldn't fix that moment in me when I rode down the road and it was raining. You can't fix that moment. You can support it. And I think a lot of times we get the mindset as spouses and family and loved ones that we have to protect them. Their mindset is they're at a mission, they have to protect us, and that's where they go when they're doing their thing. And I think a lot of times we get in the mindset that we need to protect them. We don't want to trigger them. We need to protect them. We feel sorry for them and what they're going through. I hate what he goes through. I hate it. But I no longer feel sorry for him. It breaks my heart to watch him have these moments. But I don't feel sorry for him because pity is the last thing he wants or the last thing he needs. He needs to know I love him and he needs to know I'm going to be here for him and he needs to know that we're going to work this out, but he doesn't need my pity. And that's where we get into these problems. We get into these problems because of pity. And we get into these tailspins about he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, they don't do this, they don't do that. I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that. Because we feel bad. So therefore we don't say, look, take some ownership. I had 2 bad days. Yeah, I did. But I still had to function. I still, in the midst of all my tears, had to function. Was I as effective? No. Did I go in a bedroom and pull the sheets over my head and cry? No, I wanted to. But Carl was there encouraging me. Stop. It's okay. And I finally just looked at him and started screaming, you can have your moment. I need to have mine. And he says, yeah, but you don't let me have mine. You tell me to deal with it and I still have to function and you hold me accountable and I love you for that. And I'm going to do the same for you. So that's part of this hating of the PTSD thing and the lives that it's taken from us. You know, the next thing that I found when I realized that I hated PTSD, especially combat PTSD, is I love this country. Um, I was born and raised in Yorktown, Virginia. I truly understand this country. I love everything about it. My grandfather served. I mean, I'm one of these people who still get chills when they sing the national anthem. I just that's who I am. Okay, I absolutely love this country, and watching people present colors brings tears to my eyes. I love this country. I have always loved and supported our military, always. But PTSD has caused me to resent the military. It's caused me to resent this country at times. And I know that sounds like it's horrible, but it's true. You get so angry because a perfectly good man or woman signed a piece of paper, volunteered to serve and protect, come home broken, and it's like nobody gives a damn. It's like nobody cares. I hate that. And I hate the fact that PTSD, my veterans combat PTSD, has caused me to have these resentment towards the whole system. Because when I get angry at the system, When I get angry and build up resentment to the military, all it does is hurt him. He still loves this country. This is home. This is what he protected. Wasn't just a home of our four walls, it was home of this country. And when we watch it unravel and we watch what has happened, yeah, I am angry over the fact that you're going to bring these guys home and not fix them. They've given up so much. We've given up so much. When they were deployed and they had families and kids that spent 18 months, a year without them, and they struggled and they went on and they didn't know from one minute to the next whether their spouse or their daddy or their brother or their sister or their child were coming home. And then you bring them home and they have the wounds of combat that are PTSD, and then you don't do anything about it, creates anger. It creates resentment. So yeah, I was angry. And what does that do? That just makes it worse with him because now I have this resentment to a service he loves. So I have to learn at what all it's taken from him, what all it's taken from me. I hate it. You know, I think the other things that we forget about PTSD is this. The very events, the very events in most cases in combat PTSD that were the reason that our veterans have PTSD, the clash, the fight, the mission, the whatever, those are the very events that they get a medal slap. You did a great job. Here's a medal. So watching their buddy die, taken out a village, taken out a group of insurgents that later you realize is somebody's family. Or I go to the soccer ball scenario, getting rid of the kid with the soccer ball. They got medals for those, medals of valor, medals of honor, medals of integrity. They don't feel like they're heroes in that situation. So now on their chest is this medal that says, hey, you did something and you're wonderful. And this is what caused it. Come home with these medals. Come home with all this stuff. And now they have the nightmares. And they have it tears the family apart. And they feel like they're not this and that and the other. Now the medal becomes replaced with a flag. A flag that's draped across their coffin. A flag that's folded with precision and handed to the family. The same family who at times gave up time with their veteran when they were serving and went those 12 and 18 months without them. The same family that dealt with the rage and the anger and the bitterness and the nightmares and the night sweats and begged for help that nobody seemed to find. And as a result, your veteran has no choice in their mind but to take their life. And then they fold this flag and they hand it to you and they tell you, thank you for your service. I hate it. I hate PTSD. I hate the fact that there are 22, 23 veterans a day that end up with a flag. Your family has handed that flag and said, thank you for your service. It's hard. It's hard not to get resentment. It's hard not to get anger. It's hard. You know, the resources are so limited. And part of the problem is this overwhelming number of veterans, tough, strong soldiers we don't think should have flaws or defects, are coming home broken. And there's so many. They're funneled into a system that just wasn't ready, just wasn't prepared. So they're either not getting individual treatment that they need. They already have distrust for the military and anything government wise because they came home this way and nobody gave a damn in their mind, right? Here, have a great day. You were a great soldier. And before they ever get on the plane to leave, there's somebody else replacing. And we don't get that theory. So now we have this treatment, and the treatments cause suicidal ideations, and the treatment causes therapy, and the people are telling them, suck it up, you can control it, we're going to cure it. Go back, y'all, there's no cure for PTSD. It becomes manageable at times, but there's no cure. That's it's never going to go away. So I hate it. I hate what it's done. I hate PTSD. I don't hate my veteran. I'm learning not to hate or resent this country and the military, but I hate PTSD and I hate all the cruddy ass side effects that have come from it and the lives that are broken because of it. And the wives and the spouses and the partners that go to bed at night and cry. One, they cry for their veteran. Two, they cry for themselves and what this horrible thing is doing to their families. They cry because their kids tried to come to daddy and show them something great that they did, and daddy is short and says, go away, get out. And the kid comes out with tears down his face. That's what the families are going to bed crying over. When you sit there and you watch them go through this and you tell them, I love you, and they stare into space, they just stare into space and they don't acknowledge you, and you feel like you're talking to the wall. That's what they cry for. They cry over the fact that they say something that triggers their veteran, and because their veteran wants to love them and protect them, he pushes them or she pushes them away by saying hateful, hurtful things. So you get pushed away. And most of the time, they don't even realize they're saying it. And that's what we go in and cry about at night. That's what we go take a shower in our private moments and cry. That's why veterans' wives, especially veterans that have PTSD, we only buy waterproof mascara because if not, we'd have big black lines running down our face. I hate PTSD. We can't go to a restaurant like normal people and sit wherever in a very crowded restaurant because his back may not be where it needs to be, because he may not be able to see everything. It's robbed us of that. It's robbed us of fireworks celebrations. It's robbed us of a lot of family, big family, loud get togethers because you never know what's going to happen. It's robbed us of that. PTSD has robbed us of intimacy at times. And I'm not talking about sexual intimacy. I'm talking about being able to communicate when you see they're hurt and you just want to love them through it. It's robbed us of that. It's robbed us of times that I need love and affection and attention, but he can't do that because he's in a place. It's robbed that from us too. It's robbed marriages. It is this ugly thing that nobody wants to talk about, that we're all robbed over. Not their lives necessarily. There's a ton of them that are taking their own lives. And somebody is robbed of that person forever. But there are also a lot of spouses and children of veterans that as they get older, they're committing suicide. Those are the uncounted numbers. It's robbed all of us, all of that. So when we're sitting here talking about what we hate, don't hate your veteran. Hate the PTSD. Hate what the PTSD has done to them, done to you, done to your family. Don't hate the veteran. They didn't choose this. And most of us didn't choose it either. You'll see people say, well, get out, move on, go forward. Your family is, a lot of times our families don't understand it. And they're like, get out, go on, move forward. You can do this. No, I'm not going anywhere. I love him. All of his good, all of his bad, all of his imperfections. And as much as I hate PTSD, I love him even with it. I don't have to like the PTSD. I hate what it's done to all of us. But then you look for the good. Try to find the good in everything. Carl's PTSD made me aware of mine. Carl's PTSD and learning to live with it after I couldn't work anymore pushed me to create Loving My Veteran and Walking in My Shoes. Carl's PTSD has given me a whole new community to deal with and understand who we can empower and uplift each other. So I hate it. I'm blessed by the good that it's caused us. We talk, Carl and I talk deeper than ever before. It's not always easy to talk. It's not easy conversation. But sometimes in normal relationships, in the normal stuff, you don't talk about things, deep things. When your veteran finally starts to talk, and you're talking about triggers and talking about events in their life, you're talking much deeper. Always remember that. And it is so worth it to hate PTSD. Direct your anger at where it belongs. Direct your frustration at where it belongs. Telling you the best thing I ever did was write a letter to PTSD. It helped me let go of so much stuff. So I can tell you I hate it. I mean it. But I love my veteran. And that's what matters. All right, so to wrap up the rest of this lovely day, let me see what's on our list. Tomorrow on Walking in My Shoes, we're going to do Finding Your Happiness. In the middle of all of this, there is happiness, I assure you. So we need to find our happiness. Please continue to work on your stories. If you need help, want some guidance, want some insight, remember these are your stories. They don't have to be shared with anybody else, but it's going to be one of the best things you've ever done for you. See what else is on my agenda for today because I have a ton of it. We are also on LinkedIn, Parler, Twitter, Instagram, MeWe. The Loving My Veteran pages will be up on all of those. Rumble is where we're putting the lives here as well as on YouTube, so they'll be on both places. And the group on Loving My Veterans website, www.lovingmyveteran.com. If you join the group, there'll be some extra insights, tips, and whatever that are on that page. Don't forget, we get a newsletter. If you haven't gotten signed up on the website for a newsletter, just drop us a line and we'll get you added to it and go ahead and send you out the new newsletter. For this week, we'll have a newsletter come out every Monday with tips, insights, things that are coming up. What else we got going on? Don't forget that if you need one-on-ones, you can sign up on the links. It'll take you to the calendar app, and that will help you get things signed up to get you in a Zoom meeting where we can just talk face to face in a little one-on-one time. And I think that's just about all we got going on right now. Thank you for being part of this community. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes, and we are Loving My Veteran. Y'all have a blessed day.